What if the seemingly innocent nursery rhymes you grew up singing concealed secrets so sinister they could shatter your perception of childhood itself? What if those familiar tunes were born from centuries-old crimes and dark rituals? Tales of sacrifice, despair, and the haunting corruption of innocence. I've always been both fascinated and disturbed by the stories behind our childhood songs. Growing up, I remember the eerie lullabies that would echo in dimly lit rooms, their words whispering hidden meanings I could barely grasp. Today, I invite you on an immersive journey into the shadowy origins of nursery rhymes, a journey that will challenge everything you thought you knew about these timeless verses. In 1931, the legendary silent film director Fritz Lang made his first sound film, a dark thriller titled M. The film opened with the unsettling sound of children playing a game to a nursery rhyme, a chilling juxtaposition of innocence and horror that sent shivers down my spine as a child. It was perhaps the earliest example of horror, drawing upon the disturbing undertones of these childhood tunes. Later, directors like Alfred Hitchcock and Wes Craven would exploit this very concept, weaving eerie melodies into films like The Birds and Nightmare on Elm Street. I remember watching these films with wide-eyed wonder and mounting terror, questioning how such sweet, simple songs could harbor such malignant power. But why are nursery rhymes intended to comfort and educate children so disturbingly macabre? This question has haunted me for years. I began researching the origins of these songs, and what I discovered was both fascinating and deeply unsettling. Some folklorists, like the enigmatic Alice Bertha Gum, have argued that many nursery rhymes are not merely playful verses, but encoded chronicles of historical atrocities. According to Gum's theory, the seemingly harmless children's song, London Bridge, is in fact a grim recounting of ritual sacrifices, human offerings meant to ensure the stability of bridges. Imagine for a moment the horror of learning that a melody once sung to lull a child to sleep might actually echo a dark ritual where young lives were sacrificed to appease ancient deities. Yet, as I delved deeper, I encountered conflicting views. Critics of Gum's theory argue that there is scant evidence to support such literal interpretations. For instance, the familiar rhyme, "Ring Around the Rosie," is often cited as a reference to the Black Death, with its lines symbolizing the stages of the plague.
Ring around the rosy, pocket full.
However, historical records show that many variations of the rhyme existed long before the outbreak of the Black Death, casting doubt on this popular explanation. Despite the controversies, one thing became clear. Nursery rhymes are not static relics of the past. They are living artifacts, molded by centuries of oral tradition, cultural shifts, and the dark undercurrents of human experience. I find myself both captivated and disturbed by the evolution of these songs. In earlier times, children were not sheltered from the harsh realities of life. They were expected to be resilient, to understand that joy and sorrow were intertwined. Nursery rhymes served as a bridge between the brutal truths of existence and the fragile world of childhood. Over time, however, as printing made these songs fixed and standardized, many of their original meanings were lost or obscured. What remained were the eerie echoes of a time when life was raw, brutal, and unforgiving. In the late 18th century, a new cultural vision emerged, one that idealized childhood innocence to an extent that we now take for granted. Victorian England, with its strict social mores and burgeoning print culture, locked down these once fluid oral traditions into the forms we recognize today. And with this codification came a loss of context, a loss that transformed the original, perhaps even protective meanings, into something that now strikes us as terrifying. Take Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary, for example. Some theories suggest that the song is laced with hidden references to a figure known as Bloody Mary, a monarch whose reign was marked by cruelty and bloodshed. Others claim that the silver bells and cockle shells mentioned in the rhyme are cryptic symbols for medieval torture devices. While mainstream historians often dismiss these interpretations as fanciful, I can't help but feel that there is a kernel of truth buried within these verses. The fact that different cultures have interpreted these rhymes in such radically different ways only adds to their mystique. They are, in essence, puzzles, mysterious relics whose pieces have been scattered across time, waiting for someone brave enough to reconstruct their true narrative. The transformation of nursery rhymes into instruments of horror isn't confined to ancient rituals or historical atrocities. It seeps into our modern psyche, influencing countless horror films, urban legends, and even contemporary music. Directors like Wes Craven and writers like Stephen King have drawn upon the unsettling cadence of these tunes to evoke a sense of unease and dread. When a nursery rhyme is juxtaposed with images of a sinister, desolate landscape, or a deranged figure lurking in the shadows, it taps into something primal. A fear that the innocence we cherish might be irrevocably tainted. I've often wondered if our collective fascination with these dark origins is a reflection of our own inner turmoil, a desperate need to confront the inevitable corruption of purity, the decay that lies hidden beneath the veneer of civilization. Yet, despite the chilling theories and the persuasive allure of dark folklore, there remains a gap between myth and reality. Many of these supposed origins are shrouded in ambiguity, fueled more by cultural speculation than concrete evidence. Modern historians, armed with rigorous methodologies, have largely debunked the notion that nursery rhymes were devised as grim accounts of child sacrifice or epidemic death. They argue that these songs are simply the products of a rich oral tradition, a way for communities to pass down stories, moral lessons, and historical events in a format that is memorable and easily transmitted. And yet, even as these rational explanations hold sway in academic circles, the raw emotional impact of the dark interpretations continues to resonate. Perhaps it is this tension between the rational and the irrational, between the known and the unknowable, that makes nursery rhymes so enduringly compelling. I remember sitting in my room as a teenager, headphones on, listening to a sped-up version of Ring Around the Rosie, and feeling an inexplicable chill. It was as if the familiar melody carried with it echoes of a past I never knew. A past filled with secret rituals, unspeakable horrors, and the dark whispers of a forgotten time. Those moments sparked a lifelong quest in me to uncover the hidden layers of our cultural memory, to peel back the facade of simplicity and reveal the intricate tapestry of meaning woven into every line. That journey has led me down many winding paths, through dusty libraries, late-night online forums, and heated debates with folklorists. And though I've found more questions than answers, the search itself has been profoundly transformative. As I dug deeper, I encountered a fascinating phenomenon: the way nursery rhymes evolve over time. Unlike written texts that remain static, these songs change with each generation, absorbing new influences and shedding old ones. This organic evolution means that the same melody can tell vastly different stories depending on where and when it is sung. In Victorian England, for instance, nursery rhymes were used to instill moral lessons and reinforce social order. In contrast, modern renditions often incorporate elements of satire, irony, and even horror, reflecting our contemporary preoccupations with uncertainty and existential dread. This fluidity is a testament to the enduring power of these simple tunes. They are not just remnants of the past, but living, breathing expressions of our collective subconscious. Consider the haunting variations of London Bridge is Falling Down. Some versions speak of the decay of a once mighty structure, a metaphor for the inevitable decline of human civilization. Others hint at darker rituals, suggesting that the bridge could only be rebuilt if a human sacrifice were interred in its foundations. Although these interpretations might seem far-fetched, they reveal an underlying truth. Our built environment, much like our cultural narratives, is subject to decay, reinvention, and sometimes profound horror. The image of a crumbling bridge becomes not just a physical reality, but a powerful symbol of loss, neglect, and the passage of time, a theme that echoes through countless nursery rhymes and fairy tales. The interplay between history, myth, and modern media has further amplified these dark associations. Horror films and television shows have long borrowed imagery from nursery rhymes, using their simple, repetitive structures to evoke a sense of unease. Whether it's a chilling scene in The Exorcism of Emily Rose or the relentless terror of The Shining, these works tap into the latent horror that lies beneath the surface of familiar childhood songs. I've often found myself reflecting on how a melody once used to soothe a child can be transformed into a score for terror, a testament to the dual nature of our cultural heritage, where beauty and horror are two sides of the same coin. Amidst this rich tapestry of interpretations and theories, one question remains: why do we, as a society, have such an unyielding fascination with the dark side of nursery rhymes? Perhaps it is because these songs, with their ambiguous origins and layered meanings, invite us to confront the contradictions within ourselves. They force us to acknowledge that beneath our veneer of civilization, there lurks an element of primal fear, of the unknown, of death, of the loss of innocence. In exploring these themes, we are not only delving into the past, but also engaging in a form of catharsis, a way to process our own anxieties about mortality and the corruption of what is pure. The truth is that the dark origins of nursery rhymes may forever remain shrouded in mystery. While rigorous scholarship often dismisses the more lurid theories as myth, the emotional resonance of these ideas persists. They remind us that history is not a tidy narrative of progress and enlightenment, but a chaotic, often brutal interplay of light and shadow. And it is in that interplay that we find the true power of these ancient songs, a power that continues to captivate, horrify, and inspire us. At Freak Files, I'm dedicated to peeling back the layers of our cultural history to reveal the raw, unfiltered truths behind the stories we take for granted. I share my personal journey, my own moments of awe and terror, in the hope that by confronting these dark legacies, we can learn to build a more honest and resilient future. Whether you're a lifelong fan of folklore, a curious seeker of hidden truths, or simply someone who remembers the lullabies of your childhood with a sense of lingering unease, this documentary is for you. This is Freak Files channel that bring dark history and horror story to life via documentary. Subscribe to Freak Files for more fascinating content like this. And remember, every innocent lullaby may hide a dark secret. Uncovering it is the first step toward understanding the true nature of our past.